Pulling back that ribeye is like pulling back that duvet on my mattress.
Gordon Ramsay is no stranger to bad taste. From bad food to bizarre concepts, Gordon's seen it all on Hotel Hell.
You're running a hotel, not a brothel.
It's true that we never know what we're going to get when we tune into Hotel Hell, but some hotel owners are just downright strange. From complete snobbery to paranoia, a total ignorance about hygiene, an over-the-top love of Ferraris, and an obsession with Cher. There have been intensely odd owners. These 10 are the strangest we've seen on Hotel Hell.
I am not sleeping in this dump.
Paranoid in Pennsylvania.
If you don't fix this inn, they've all lost their job.
There are bosses, and then there are bosses. Some are great, others are just weird.
That's exactly the problem.
The paranoid owner at the River Rock Inn was definitely in the weird category. This owner was convinced all his guests were out to get him. Ken left passive-aggressive notes all over the kitchen, telling his staff to keep their hands off his stuff.
Notes everywhere. Who writes notes like this?
Gordon was completely horrified and confronted Ken about the really weird notes. When Ken just didn't get it, Gordon set out to talk to the staff about the issue. And just like Gordon predicted, the staff hated the notes.
I think he hides behind he's afraid of confrontation.
He causes us all to be discouraged in the jobs that we have.
Even though Ken was stuck in his ways, this was all he needed to realize his strange behavior was totally unnecessary.
I need to change.
All right, let's do this.
To top it off, Ken's look went from dingy to dapper.
Your new innkeeper.
This one wasn't too hard. All it took was a little trust and a fancy scarf, catapulting Ken from paranoid business owner to cool innkeeper.
I've updated your router. Okay, so you can have Wi-Fi.
In the room?
Inside the room.
Oh my God!
The town's denial.
You're ignorant, oblivious, and delusional.
I'll do what I can do.
Karen Townsend runs the beautiful Towns Inn outside Washington, D.C., in a town called Harper's Ferry in West Virginia. In a gorgeous location and in a grand old home, you'd think Karen would keep this prime establishment in tip-top shape. Think again. This place was a hygienic nightmare.
Smells like there's crap all over the floor.
Ew, that's disgusting.
The kitchen was so gross, Gordon couldn't handle it. The staff was overworked and stressed. The chef had completely had it.
I don't have no help, man. I told her. She won't listen.
The worst part? Karen was so delusional, she had no idea that any of this was a problem.
You don't even think there's a problem. That's what worries me.
Things took a turn when Gordon realized Karen's living situation.
I saw the office sign on the door, but you live in here.
She seemed to think this was an amazing setup.
You gotta be kidding me!
This made Gordon change his tune. He wasn't mad anymore, he was worried.
There's no place in the world I would rather be.
You're not doing one thing right.
In the end, he still wasn't sure Karen was worth his time, but he decided maybe there was hope for her. Gordon did his magic, flipping a much-needed makeover, and not just for the inn. In the end, Karen just needed a fresh start.
This is good. This is right. This is what it should be.
The Monticello Intervention.
I don't know why you're running a hotel. You're just ripping people off.
The Monticello Hotel is a beautiful historic hotel in Washington. A long-standing client base is now dwindling. And it's no surprise that the root of that problem comes from this truly strange owner, Philip. This experience was strange right from the start. At first, it seemed like Philip and his partner, Ginger, were perfectly normal business owners. Then, we find out about the kitchen staff. These chefs had so little money, they'd been forced to buy pre-boiled eggs.
I get the boiled eggs in a bag, done, peeled.
You buy in boiled eggs?
Yes.
At the same time, Philip owns a Rolls-Royce. This logic was crazy.
3 of those cars and put it into the kitchen budget to function for the next 12 months. The chefs can do their job.
But when Philip's arrest for drunk driving came to light, Gordon totally changed his tune. Philip didn't understand that he was responsible for everything, even his own reckless behavior.
Who owns this place?
Me.
So when are you going to step up?
On some level, he must have had a clue because he worked the floor for Gordon.
Does Philip normally do this? No. Why all of a sudden is he involved?
Gordon wasn't impressed.
I'm doing a good job of pretending then.
Oh, yes, I'm the great pretender.
Gordon did what he had to do, and he put on an intervention with Philip.
Is there anyone else in this room that thinks that Philip needs help?
with his addiction? Please raise their hand.
At first, it didn't work. Philip was way too far gone.
Cannot keep on hiding this.
I don't know what you want me to say, Gordon.
Gordon didn't give up, though.
Are you ready to get help?
I promise you, I'm definitely going.
And in the end, Philip came back to reality and decided to get sober.
Good luck.
Thank you, sir.
Seriously, good luck.
Flying high at the Applegate.
I recognize the smell.
Some owners are totally with it and ready to tackle any task. Others, well, it's more of a joyride. Take the owner of the Applegate River Lodge in Oregon. He was really enjoying himself. Maybe a little too much.
Press the button for the buzz to summon a human with answers. You are kidding me.
Eventually, he met Gordon, totally stoned.
Hey, hello. What are you doing, Gordon? I think good.
I thought you'd gone.
Right, so Richard...
But around here, they kind of call me Pa Butt.
Say it.
Pa Butt.
Okay, so Pabat was, I guess we can say, an eccentric owner laid back to the extreme.
And what about the cover on the bed? When was that from? 1970?
You have talked to Joanne about that.
Joanne is Pabat's ex-wife, and it's unclear how she was ever married to this total hippie. Well, at least some people were happy at the hotel.
Welcome to the madhouse.
Still, by 1 in.the morning, the party was still going, and a lot of the guests weren't feeling the love.
It's on me tonight, okay? We're gonna make you happy no matter what.
This family was $1 million in debt, and Pabat wouldn't deal with it.
Can we just quit talking about money?
You really are crazy.
You think I care what you think about me?
In the end, Pabat, or Richard, just wasn't interested in running a business, and Gordon made a wise decision.
You're not really involved running the business.
Right.
Okay? And I think you need to let these guys deal with the business.
With weird Pabat relaxing and out of the way, this family could now properly run a hotel.
It's been a slice of heaven. A little slice of heaven. Serious.
The dream that's a nightmare.
Isn't it beautiful?
It's stunning. Until we get inside.
No one ever said running a hotel is easy. It takes a long time to learn the ins and outs of an inn. Still, the idea is to turn a profit. That wasn't the case right now with the Cambridge Hotel, located a short drive from New York City. The hotel is run by John and his wife Tina, and the story of how he decided to buy the place is a little odd.
And I wanted to take my wife someplace nice for dinner. So I said to her, why don't we buy the Cambridge Hotel, and then we'd have a place to go.
You're weird.
It gets weirder.
The Cambridge Hotel, R.I.P.
Yeah.
Seriously?
And weirder.
This place is littered with freaky pictures.
Yeah.
And the weirdness affected business, unfortunately.
Profit.
Loss.
Loss.
But John was too committed to see the problem.
I'm a military guy.
While he was involved in getting his hands dirty, he wasn't able to truly fulfill his role. As Gordon investigated this money pit, he knew the real problem laid with John's total inability to run a hotel.
I definitely do not make the decisions that I think I should be able to, though.
When Gordon forced John to back off and let his staff do their jobs by throwing a ladies' night, John took a moment to reflect, and finally came around.
I've just now realized my control is what is dragging the hotel down.
In the end, it looked like the Cambridge Hotel was finally waking from its nightmare.
R.I.P. Long live the Cambridge.
Meson De Cher.
I'm like an audio mirage. If I do a Cher tune, you're going to think you're hearing Cher.
Everyone has a dream, and if she could turn back time, Callie would have found a way to become a professional singer. Instead, she was the owner of the New Mexico hotel, Meson De Cher. She didn't seem to understand what was required of her hotel, a Southwest-located hotel with a Latin name that...
To me, it's very European. It's very Tuscan in nature.
It was pretty strange given that...
We only serve Tuscan food. I don't even know if Callie's ever been to Italy.
The hotel was in terrible shape.
The walls are freaky.
But what Callie really cared about were her dinner performances.
I bought the hotel to sing.
There were stages all over the hotel so that Callie could sing.
What's at the back there?
That was for entertainment.
Oh my God, 3 stages.
It was all a little out of control. That's an understatement. What Gordon needed to do was make Callie as crazy about her hotel as she was about her singing.
Thank you for visiting us here at Meson De Cher.
A talk with Callie could bring her back to reality.
The guests have to be number one, not Callie.
It seemed things were on the right track, with an awesome makeover that embraced the beautiful New Mexico vibe. But turned out Callie wasn't quite ready to take the plunge.
Right now, I'm really like freaking out over these.
So Gordon got personal with Callie in a final effort to help her shed her crazy singing obsession. And at last, Callie got it.
Every time you're singing, you're not
running the hotel. I totally agree with you.
Callie putting the hotel first was music to our ears.
I don't have a singing career, and that's okay. This is my career.
Strong enough now.
King of Juniper Hill.
I've always thought you should live with nice things if you can afford them.
The gorgeous Juniper Hill Inn was Windsor, Vermont's gem. A fancy, expensive inn, the place had a pretentious reputation. Despite the fact that this hotel was hemorrhaging gobs of money, this strange owner wouldn't change anything at all.
It is filled with original works of art and antiques.
Robert started his introduction to Gordon with a very strange admittance.
This is actually our entrance. We have to keep that locked, because otherwise the snow load comes off and kills people.
Kills people?
Yeah, it can.
Things didn't get better when it became obvious that Robert was being a total snob. But this obsession with being a high-class man had gotten out of control.
We're lacking paychecks on time. We're missing basic supplies, too.
It should have come as no surprise that this hoarder lived in a pig pen.
This state is about to explode with major piggy power!
That's where the pigs are kept. Bloody hell.
Unfortunately, there was no refuge with Robert's partner, Ari, who co-owned the place and was just as much of a snob. Robert wasn't any better, strangely focused on a history tour instead of dinner service.
This is one of the original signs to the house. There's a lot of history here.
When Gordon tried to bring Robert into the fold and actually help run the hotel, Robert couldn't cope.
Are you with me?
I'm with you.
Are you an owner?
I'm with you.
So, to give Robert a reality check, Gordon got a little sneaky.
You still haven't got it, that this place is sinking. The team needs a leader.
And Gordon's trick worked. Looks like Robert finally came down to earth.
It was an epiphany. I feel regretful that I have come across in the way I have.
The Hotel on Wheels.
At the end of the day, I am the owner, right? If there's something I want on the menu, I'm just gonna do it.
San Diego's Keating Hotel, run by Eddie, took fun a little too far.
Come on, let's get nuts.
This hotel was very red.
There's a lot of red.
And there were pictures of Ferraris everywhere.
Nice car.
From bad room service.
That's dreadful. It's a takeaway puke box.
To the funky furniture. Gordon was rearing to dig into Eddie from the get-go.
You've never run a business before?
Not a hotel business, no.
Wow.
The first meeting didn't go well. Eddie's vision was all based on buying a car.
I was actually at the Ferrari dealer looking at cars and stuff, and it kind of hit me, why not the Ferrari of hotels?
What are we gonna call this guy?
Gordon didn't get it either. Eddie's understanding of how to run a hotel was completely out of whack.
Let's get everything out on the table, because life's too short to fester. I'm here to help.
He was living on another planet, and Gordon had to bring him back to Earth.
Rejoice, humans, people!
When he finally released his grip and Gordon put his expert touch on the hotel, the staff was overwhelmed, and so was Eddie.
It's amazing.
You disappointed the red is gone?
No.
The Keating got a makeover, but most importantly, Eddie got a reality check.
What you did to get the team back together, I mean, I'm telling you, no one could have done.
It's my project. It's mine.
2 for the price of none.
I don't understand.
You own the place, you don't know what your role is.
Is 2 always better than 1? Well, not always. At the Calumet Inn in Pipestone, Minnesota, 2 sisters are not working at the caliber of even one competent person. One sister, Rena, couldn't handle the pressure.
There's just too much trash talking around here, and I can't work with people like that.
Vonda is the other sister, and she was equally clueless.
People come to work just to make tips and for their paycheck.
The fact was, these 2 were spoiled and completely out of their league. Rena seemed to do nothing at all.
I'm seriously still confused what my role is here.
Shut up!
No wonder this place was a mess. Gordon staged his first intervention. Things escalated so badly, the GM quit, and the sisters took no responsibility for the problem.
If you were my daughters, I'd kick you out.
When Gordon pulled the sisters aside for another talk, he forced them to get real.
I want to say yes, but my head says no.
So, it was time to find a way around all this. In a family discussion, the truth came out.
Do you want to be here?
No, I don't.
A decision had to be made, and we'd say it was a pretty good one.
We'll turn this place around. That means us stepping out of the picture.
Even better, someone normal returned to run the show.
Let me introduce you to the Calumet's new general manager.
With Mindy back and running the inn, and the sisters coming back to reality, it looked like the Calumet Inn would survive after all.
That's what I'm talking about!
Beach bum.
I can't work like this. I want to go now. I want to get out of here.
The beachfront inn and inlet in Fort Pierce, Florida, was just this hotel. But the owner, Brian, was so clueless that this seemingly perfect vacation destination was not reaching its potential. So, this looked like a classic case of cocky owner with no idea what he was doing. But Brian wasn't proud. He was just, well, weird.
The hotelier and the 34-year-old.
You know what? I'm 33. I work so hard, I think I just thought I was 34.
Whatever you say now.
It got weirder, like with this vending machine thing.
Explain this monstrosity. What is going on here?
What's worse, this beach hotel was short on beach towels.
How many do you have in stock?
1.
The problem with Brian was that he needed to grow up. Turned out his family was supporting his operation.
You can't continue depending on your little brother's cash to float your dreams.
All the same, Brian never could quite wrap his head around the whole management thing. Fed up, Gordon didn't know what to do with Brian.
One thing I said to you, come in as a...
boss.
Right now, you look like a towel boy.
Still, he did a makeover and directed the real issue right at Brian.
You need to get a grip of this business. I need to be convinced. I need to see you stepping up as a boss.
But this time, the owner couldn't get it together, and Gordon was out.
I'm going. I'm packing my bags. Because that's the worst thing we've sent all week.
I'm done.
And there you have it, the strangest owners on Hotel Hell. If you want to see more videos like this, click or tap that subscribe button, and in order to become a trusted Babble Topper, be sure to ding the bell to get notified whenever we upload a new video. Thanks for watching!